If John Williams spends, let's say, 95% of his time writing a score, and 5% of his time working on production of his score, what's your percentage?
I mean, it's all built in. It's at least 60%. I mean, when we compose, a lot of people will compose and then have somebody else do the mock-up and the programming. It's like pencil and paper and then turn it over type of thing. But when we compose in the sequencer, as you do, compose and orchestrate and arrange and mock up all at once.
It's one
and so the
process.
The thought of what the music is going to be is really only a fraction of what it is.
What fraction?
Maybe 10%.
I mean, the programming and all the sequencing takes up most of the time.
Because the thought occurs to you, I mean, a lot of times you find what it's going to be by playing and by exploring and using the sounds, and it's like, oh,
the sounds can inspire you.
The woodwind's doubling with the whatever here, that's going to sound great, I'll do that. So it's a tool, it might be a tool in helping you come up with it, but the actual coming up with it and deciding what the music is going to be is just a very short amount of time compared to at least 9 times more than that.
Because then you have to
implementing it,
tweak it,
putting it in, making it sound right.
And I'm not really a keyboardist, so I get it in there and then have to mess with it till it's right and mix it and balance it and put it in the room in the right place, and it's all one big process.
I'm a keyboardist, and it's the same percentage for me. It's 90% production and 10% writing.
I believe it.
So for you as film composers and musicians, in a film, what is the real purpose of music?
It's not to show off, look at what music I can write. It's not to be like, here, listen to my opus. That should be the least important thing, if at all. It should draw you in. You shouldn't really even notice it. It should, if it's doing its job, you're sucked into the story and you're not thinking about the music. You're completely drawn in, and it provides it kind of forces the emotion of what's needed to be the story's saying, or how you're supposed to feel.
And a lot of times it's not even necessary. Like a scene will be so strong. I mean, because you can't always support something. It's too much at times, obviously. So.
It can be more powerful to have no music.
Yeah, the best example that just comes to mind is Jurassic Park when the T-Rex first breaks through the fence. I mean, that whole sequence, there's no music, and it's probably the most intense and scary moment of the movie, but it doesn't need anything. I mean, the music should only be there to kind of help nudge you in a certain direction as necessary, or to celebrate a certain emotion as necessary, but it's not always needed. And so I think something that's really amazing, a lot of people don't think about, is when to not use music is just as important as when to use music. Like in music, a rest can be just as dramatic as a note.
And I think too many people will rely on, the music will fix it, and then they ask the composer to help or save the scene or fix the scene. But in my opinion, the scene should work on its own without music already. If you can get the scene to be strong enough to work without music, then putting in the music is going to just make it that much better if it's something that can benefit from the music.
So when you say support the story, what about playing against the scene?
That can also be very powerful. Some heartbreaking things happening, and you've got this beautiful music that can so often, like the irony of it can make it so intensely sad. And likewise the opposite. Sometimes you can have this really happy stuff and you have something kind of darker or minor, and it's like playing against it can sometimes be really powerful. It's hard to understand.
It's playing against it, but it's still supporting the story because it's helping guide you to a certain place emotionally that the filmmaker is intending. Like say there's, like Breaking Bad, there's all kinds of stuff where it's gruesome, horrible, violent thing, and there's some fun, Latin American music playing or something, and it's just like super bubbly, but it makes it more disturbing.
Or like
if there was like some ominous music playing, then it's like, okay, that's obvious.
Clockwork Orange is another example.
Yeah.
With all the singing in the rain and Beethoven and stuff. It's like, it just makes it really. So it's fun to play around. Jerry Goldsmith had an example. I don't remember what movie it was, but he was talking about how it's important not to just play the action that you're seeing and just copy the action with the music. But he was like the master of getting inside the mind of the characters and what they were feeling, because if you can make the audience feel what the character's feeling, that's really going to sell the story. So there was some scene where some guy, I never saw the movie, but he was talking about some guy was like being chased through the forest or something, and it was like this big action chase scene, and he could have had all this action, fast-paced music, but he just played just raw fear because that character was like, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna be killed, and he just played like a slower, just fear, and that's gonna be more powerful than just Mickey Mousing like cartoons, copying the action on the screen.
Even if you're stuck.